Welcome back to Just a Verse. My name is Bridget, and my goal on this channel is for you to get a deeper understanding of a Bible verse by elaborating on the Bible verse and supporting it with instances, stories, and experiences. So, we're going to jump right into the verse of the day. The verse we're going to be working on is 1 John chapter 4, verse 18, and I read, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear, because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made perfect in love." So, like always, I'm going to give a brief summary of what the few verses before the 18 was about. In the beginning of that chapter, the Bible talked about how we should test every spirit because there are a lot of false prophets. Everyone who acknowledges that Jesus Christ came in the flesh is from God. That chapter also talked about love, right? So, like, whoever doesn't love does not come from God, since God is love. So, if we love others, right, we will be able to love each other well and be sure that God will not punish us on the judgment day. From the few verses, right, we can tell that that chapter talked about the judgment day before the verse that we're working on, right? So that verse could be interpreted as, if you love your neighbor, if you love God well, you shouldn't be afraid of the judgment day. However, we're going to relate that verse into our daily lives, right? We can clearly see that since it's talking about fear, that verse is also in relation to our daily lives. That verse means if you love God, if you're in a relationship with God, right, then you shouldn't fear. Because if you fear, then you think that God is going to harm you. So in that case, it doesn't make it a perfect love. But the moment you start to really understand God's love, right, and start to trust Him, since love comes with trust, love comes with knowing who the person is, that God is all powerful. He is so caring. He loves you and He will not want to harm you, right? So once you understand God's love, the fear starts to leave. Perfect love drives out fear. But don't worry, because like always, I'm going to be elaborating on that verse. So now is instances time. The first instance is someone is so worried about what's going to happen in the week. They feel like there might be a lot going on during that week, right? So, because of that, it has placed this person in a fearful position where they keep thinking about it and now they're mentally drained. But let's take heed to this. Now, this person starts saying, you know what? God loves me so much. God is with me. So why should I worry? If God didn't love me, then of course I should be worried because He would want something bad to happen to me. But because God loves me so much, He wouldn't want to harm me. So why should I be stressed out about this coming week? God loves me so much, so He would want to keep me from trouble. He would want to protect me. All that I have to do is to keep praying and keep loving Him. You see? So now that this person is understanding God's love, right? The fear is now disappearing. So now, right, Kay is in an ongoing situation, right? So now Kay is so fearful. And then it could be anything that has been going on for a while, right? But I would say, let's say Kay has been having nightmares, right? The devil has really been trying, like tormenting Kay, that he's going to kill him because Kay is having bad nightmares. Kay is so fearful. But then let's say Kay decides not to fear anymore. Kay starts to understand God's love, trust in him, knowing who he is as a God, that he is almighty, right? So Kay really starts understanding God's love and say, you know what? God loves me so much. He cares about my happiness. He doesn't like to watch me suffer. So why should I fear the devil so much? God has power over the enemy. My soul belongs to God. It doesn't belong to the enemy. And then Case says, if God hasn't said that it's Kay's time, Kay is not going to die. So why should Kay be fearful? And then Kay start to really love God, trust him that this situation will eradicate because God loves me so much. Now Kay is understanding God's love. Kay is loving God well by knowing who he is. So now it's now a perfect love, and the fear, it's leaving. This person is really fearful. He doesn't know how he's going to pay his bills. He doesn't know how he would get money for food. He's going through financial issues, right? So because of that, he is so fearful. But once he starts to understand God's love, that God loves me, God will take care of me, because if he takes care of the sparrows, then God will definitely take care of me. So now he starts to understand God's love, knowing who he is, and just know that all that he has to do is to pray, and then God got this. So he's understanding God's love. When that happens, the fear would be casting out, because that is a perfect love. And then God will really come through for this person. And this reminds me of a video that I encountered some years ago. So in this video, she rented her apartment, but for some reason, she ended up losing her job. So now she had bills to pay, like her past rent. It was a really tough situation. And then God told her that she shouldn't leave the place because that's where God has placed her. We know that she really had to keep loving God and trusting him, right? So yeah. So fast forward in the story, a friend invited her to her church one time, right? So when she went to the church, the message that was shared was that she shouldn't be scared. God is going to take care of her. So then she said that was the exact message that she needed to hear, because she has been living her life in fear because of her situation. But that message alone made her feel so much better that God is going to help her. So she did her 3 days dry fasting. One time she wrote a prayer request, right? And then God told her to send it to the church that her friend invited her to. But in her mind, she just sent it to them because she just wanted them to help her in prayer. So she wrote something really briefly like, she's at the edge of risking it all, having financial problems, just something little like that, right? And then they sent her a message back that we're remembering you in prayers. She went to church. The pastor of that church called her, paid all her bills that she owed, her past bills, and even offered her a job. So she was crying. So we do see what God did for her. So it's not only that we're just going to have in mind that, oh, God loves us so much, so we shouldn't fear, and then God ends up betraying us. That's not how it is. Once we understand God's love and know who he is, God is actually going to answer our prayers. God gave her a message that she shouldn't be fearful, and then God did more than she asked for. We have to keep reminding ourselves of God's love, that God loves us so much. There are so many scriptures that prove God's love for us. So why should you fear that God won't take care of you? Why should you fear that things are gonna get worse? Why should you be so pessimistic if God loves you so much? We have to have in mind that God wouldn't want to harm us. So even if we find ourselves in a situation, we shouldn't be fearful, because we should know that if God has permitted this situation, then He is going to be with us throughout, because He's not putting you in that situation to harm you, because He loves you so much. So if we have that in mind, that God's love is perfect, we trust Him, we love Him. Love is also obeying His commandments, right? So we love Him. We know who He is as a God. The fear will start leaving. And not only will the fear leave, but God is actually going to come through for you. So if we keep being fearful, then that means that we do not understand God's love. God's love is perfect, perfect than any love. Fear not, because God loves you so much. God's love is perfect. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that this video blessed you. And like always, don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe, and if God permits, see you when I upload my next video. Bye-bye.